Hello everyone, welcome back. So I decided what I'm going to do with this rifle as far as the light setup. I was showing this to you a couple of weeks ago, and I was debating the idea of mounting a light up here. Okay, and the reason why I was debating the idea is because I had these 3-slot rails mounted on the sides over here. And the reason is because at one point this was a dedicated night shooting AR. So when I was shooting it, when it was dedicated night shooting, I had my light. I had a 3-slot rail on the right side, light mounted on the right side with the pressure pad on top. And the reason is that way the light wouldn't interfere with my sling. And then at some point I switched it that another AR became my night gun. And I said, okay, now since I occasionally want to shoot this at night, I don't want to go through all the trouble of mounting the pressure pad every time I want to shoot it. So I put a 3-slot rail on this side so I could just put this light on whenever I wanted to, and I can occasionally shoot it at night. And the problem I found is that, great, now I've got rails on this side, rails on that side, and I'm rarely ever using those rails. And having these 3-slot rails kind of takes away from the niceness of this rail, in that it's smooth, that it's really comfortable for me to grip, and I can do speed drills. This is a nice smooth rail, and I kind of messed it up by putting all these 3-slot things all over the place. And I said, you know what, I finally decided the 3-slot rails come off. I'm keeping this smooth. And for the rare occasion that I want to do some night shooting with this rifle, right, I'm going to mount this light on the top. There it goes. Now I got to tighten it up when I wanted to do this. Right now it's just on there loose. And I can basically activate it with my thumb, and I can do my night shooting. And what I'm finding is that, when I look at my red dot, okay, this light is not in the way. It's kind of like having a front sight post. The red dot kind of just sees right over it. And it actually gives me a good anchoring point because I have a 65 MOA circle dot, and the bottom of the circle kind of basically sits right on top of the light. So that gives me a good reference point. And it makes this, it's actually working pretty good. And the rifle is comfortable. And this is working good for a rifle that I don't shoot too often at night. Now, as I discussed in an earlier video, there is a drawback. What happens when I have the light mounted on top and I'm shooting, the light does tend to reflect back on me more. So I can't shoot as fast. I can't be like bam, 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 because every time I fire, there's a puff of smoke. I mean, you're not gonna see in the daytime, but at night there is smoke that comes out the front, and the light reflects back on it. So it definitely slows down your shooting a little bit. So it's more like bam, bam, bam. So you definitely gotta slow down. Now I also tried putting this at an offset because I tried mounting it on the 45 over here, and what I found is that it was still giving me splashback. The light was still splashing back on me off the smoke. In order for you to have the least amount of splashback, this thing pretty much needs to be on the side. First of all, when you have a rail here and then you have the light on the side, it actually sticks out more. So I have found that when I have the light on the side, I get the least amount of light splashback, and I can shoot the fastest, at night. Now, like I said, I have another AR that I have set up with a permanent, light on the right side, pressure pad on top. That's the one that I have, set up for most of my night shooting. And then I got like this one. I have this Palmetto that has the quad rail. Okay, originally this had the plastic handguard. It was a pretty thick one, so I generally found it pretty uncomfortable to hold with that plastic handguard. So putting this quad rail on here made this a lot more usable. And this is a light that, I can mount this light wherever I want on this thing. So left side, right side, pressure pads. So now that, I have all my ARs that have a front sight post, all of them have this quad rail, I have lots of options as far as mounting lights. So it kind of didn't make sense for me, where I have this one AR here that has this really smooth guard here that's really comfortable to shoot, you know, and I can grip it, and it's you know, it didn't make sense to kind of spoil it by putting the 3 slot rails on it. So that's why I said, let me just take it off. And I still have the option of mounting the light on top here. I got to go a little bit slower if I'm shooting at night. But in a home defense type of situation, it's really not going to matter, because especially if you're shooting down like a narrow hallway or down a narrow staircase, you know, I mean, homes are pretty small. So once you identify where your bad guy is, you know, first of all, the light's going to blind him. Once you open up, I mean, there's, you know, it's going to become less of an issue. But if you're outdoors, you know, if you're trying to do a lot of shooting, yeah, you really don't want that light on top. But for a limited amount of shooting, I found this to be a really quick fix that works. You just put the light on top, you know, and you've got, you know, I mean, it works. It doesn't get in the way of your red dot any more than a front sight post would have. And what I did is I moved the the front, this flip up sight further back. Initially, I had it up here, and then what happened is it kind of like opened up a whole new line of thinking, because I initially had this up here, and I said, wait a second, if this can be up here. First of all, I noticed that when I moved it from here to here, I didn't need to adjust the front sight posts, because it really didn't make a difference. So I said, let me move it a little further back. And one of the nice things that I found is that when I had this up here, right, and I have a 65 MOA circle, you know, with a dot. When this thing was way up here, the circle dot basically was bigger than the bunny ears on this front sight post. When I pulled it back, what's happening now is that 65 MOA circle actually sits inside of the bunny ears, or the the front post protectors. It sits inside them. So in a really fast situation, basically you're coming up, and that 65 MOA circle is sitting right in there. It gives you a really nice point of reference. Actually, in a way, it's better than if it was up here, I'm finding, because if you're doing drills where you're like, if you're laying on the ground and you're trying to, let's say, shoot through a small hole, because I've done exercises like that where you're actually kind of laying on the ground and you're trying to get into a weird angle like that. And what happens is sometimes you have a hard time, like if you're laying on the ground trying to shoot through a hole, and you're trying to line up that, trying to find that red dot. It can be very hard because you don't have the gun anchored to your face. But having that front sight post up there actually gives you a point of reference that will actually help you find that 65 MOA circle faster. So in a way, I'm actually finding it a little bit more useful back here. And the other thing is, by bringing it further back, it's obviously bringing the weight a little further back. So there's a little less weight up front. And this is a pretty light AR, because this is a light rail. Having the quad rail definitely adds a couple of ounces. This is definitely a little bit more front heavy, because not only is this a quad rail, but this is a 9-inch quad rail, as opposed to like the 6.5-inch quad rails that you'll have on the M4. So this definitely adds more weight to the front of the rifle, but it also adds a lot more usability, because again, you can mount lights on this thing. You can put pressure pads on it. You can put an IR illuminator on it. So this gives you a lot of real estate here to put stuff. But yeah, I'm finding that this is working pretty good. This is a good solution for a rifle, that you don't plan to shoot a lot at night. This is a rifle that in a way, like, you don't plan to shoot at night at all. But if you do need to shoot it, you can just put the pistol light over here, and that's gonna work decently. It's not gonna work as good as a rifle light that's mounted on the side. You won't be able to shoot as fast and not get that splashback, but it's gonna work decent. You'll be able to identify your target and then shoot. You gotta slow down your shots a little bit to give the smoke a little bit of a chance to clear. But it's like I said, I really wanted to get the 3-slot rails off of it, and I really didn't want to do it and not have the ability to mount the light on this rifle. So, but now this idea that I actually got it from somebody else, the idea of mounting the pistol light up there, you know, makes me a lot more comfortable with taking the 3 slots off and knowing that I can shoot the gun this way if I want to. So there's some ideas I want to share with you guys, and this is kind of like a working process. I've been working with this now for a couple of weeks. You know, in a couple of months I may have a different idea about this. If you guys have any comments, feedback, put it in the comment section. If you're not a member of the channel, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.